Yeah, so this is part of the access realm, you know. I really believe in it. I think it's good. They're just about ready to transfer over to digital, which I guess the whole world's doing, but they're going to put the transmission, and then they'll do the cameras and that sort of thing. And I was really pleased because they started streaming. Yeah. Welcome very much to Conversations, where it's a pleasure to welcome to the program Conrad or Buzz Whitehead. And Buzz Whitehead is a fellow who understands computers very well, has been involved in the web development and that sort of thing, and a number of other things in terms of the technological development of the society on a front lines capacity in terms of understanding the technology. And we're going to talk with him. He's the president of Mean Screen Productions, which is a production company involved with web development. And Buzz, welcome very much to Conversation.
Thank you. I heard from one of your crew members that today's your birthday, so
it
I
is
just say
indeed.
happy
March
birthday.
14th, the day the stock market crashed
March.
again, you know, but yeah, it is, and I thank you for that. Yeah.
40, what?
No, it's 42 now. 42. Too old, yeah, right. 39. It was Jack Benny used to be parenthetically 39.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that very much. But anyway, maybe we could share some of your own background, because you've been involved. I know you have your own company, which is involved Mean Screen. And
Yes,
then you've also been involved, you were at the School of Visual Arts. You did some work in the
So I was at the
video
School of
realm.
Visual Arts a long time ago.
Okay, but share some of your background if you would.
Well, what happens, I think, is that once you're a creative person, if you're truly a creative person, doesn't matter what outlet you have. So you could be a fashion photographer 1 decade and a web designer another decade, or a sculptor.
Yeah.
As long as you're satisfying that goal. So that's what's actually happened.
Okay, yeah.
I started off wanting to be a famous fashion photographer. I went to School of Visual Arts a long time ago. It's so long ago that my screenwriting teacher, his comment when you smoked in class was, "Please use an ashtray."
Oh, I see. Right, that's how long ago it was. Right, yeah. Right.
Arthur Burnkrant.
Yeah.
So there's a series of transitions that got me to web design. It's not web development, it's web design. I'll explain the difference later.
Good.
I had originally attended film school, film and video production.
Okay.
So I found whenever you wanted to do a film, you had to call this person to act for a camera, and you had to call this person for transportation. This person used the set, and you had to get the talent on camera.
The caterers, yeah.
Well, we weren't that big of a production,
right,
but still,
right.
it was a lot of phone calls, a lot of people involved.
A lot of coordination. Yeah.
And when you worked from 8 o'clock that morning till 8 o'clock that night, you got basically 2 shots, and then you were not anywhere close to completing the film.
Yeah.
So after a year and a half of that, I said, forget this. I'm switching to photography. I'll be a fashion photographer.
Because you could have it all in your own hands and everything like that?
So I thought. You had to call the agency, you had to call hair, makeup, still get the models to the set, and it was still a big production. But once the day was over, you had the pictures. There was no reshoots and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So it was a smaller drama to get to the end.
Yeah.
Then I found writing. All you needed was a piece of paper and a typewriter or a pencil.
Number 2 pencil.
That's it. So I took off on fiction writing and drama writing and did a few workshops. And
well, these things all interrelate. They can all interrelate in some fields. Yeah, right.
They're certainly connected.
Yeah.
And then from that point, I very early on, I got involved with computers because it seemed like it was going to be a big wave. You know, I'm talking about the Commodore 64 and DOS 3.3. Even then, nobody could see where it was going to be what it is today. And
the Osborne. Do you remember the Osborne? It was a thing. It was a hand.
Oh no! I'm not that old.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, just like we can't see today where it's going to go tomorrow because we think we have it all today. The wherewithal is defined today. It's hard to imagine how we can evolve to the point that we've evolved from where we were back 10 years ago.
Right. And it's all, the pace is picking up all the time.
There's like an acceleration factor.
Yeah.
So,
but all of these things are part of your early background. All of these creative things, and you probably learn one from the other and that sort of thing and everything.
It helps to have mixed disciplines because then you see things, hopefully, theoretically, you'll see things in a different eye. You'll attack problems in a more creative fashion. It's not guaranteed, but it's certainly a helping, or it certainly is it's a benefit.
Yeah, right.
So now we're at the point of web design where you can just sit in front of your computer and you have the right applications of software. Then you can mix colors and you can mix textures, virtual textures, and you can do a little graphic layout and you can express yourself, because the science of graphic technology or graphic layouts there, which I never formally studied, but you come across it after years of working for magazines and just shooting pictures for
Yeah,
publications.
you'd had some experience with that in the art
Sure.
photography, and a sense of design is really important.
Sense of
that's
design,
that's a grounding
composition,
thing, I think,
and,
isn't it? Yeah, right. Yeah.
many elements, but
Yeah.
so I don't know how one qualifies oneself as a web designer, but at least with an art background and doing magazine and productions for a while, you get a good sense of things.
Mhm,
Hopefully.
Yeah, and you got two things. You said you went to school of art,
Visual arts.
Visual arts, and so there's a thing, where you've got a sense of artistic design and so forth. Then there's a whole other thing when you get into computers and so forth, where you've got all of the technological things that are involved. How much are those things separate worlds? How much do they interrelate? How much does the person who's doing the design does it behoove them to be able to understand some of the technological implications of what's behind all those systems that put those designs on his computer screen?
That's a philosophical question, but in reality, I had been doing it for 12 to 15 years because photography is a marriage and mechanical
That's
to
right.
the aesthetic.
Right, right.
You can have a camera and be nothing close to being an artist, and
Yeah.
you can be an artist and know nothing about how to use a camera.
Yeah.
So there is a marriage because also behind the camera there's the development and processing of the film,
That's right.
which can be a creative process or just
Absolutely.
a mechanical process, and
Yeah.
then the printing technology. So I'm no stranger to the marriage of technology and aesthetic that happened in photography.
Yeah,
So
right.
now seeing it with computer technology, well, it benefits you to have a mighty program that you understand, aiding you in design as opposed to a skimpy little program that anyone can use. Why have a Kodak Instamatic and know how to use that and be restricted to whatever that output can be?
One of the advantages with the Kodak, when they came along with a thing called point and shoot, you didn't have to set the f-stop, you didn't have to set to this, you didn't have to worry about the grain of the film or anything like that. You just pointed the camera and shot it.
This was designed.
So that's like user-friendly in the Macs in a certain sense,
It's not so.
You know what I mean? Like that.
It simplifies the process
Yeah.
so that you can go out and accomplish small tasks.
Yeah.
Ansel Adams would not use a point and shoot, would
No,
he?
he would not. He'd use a Hasselblad or something, right? Yeah.
Well, something along those lines.
Yeah,
But
right.
The Hasselblad is designed for people who do a little more than point and shoot. Exactly.
Yeah, right, right.
Those are the two
Yeah.
differences. So one affords you it affords you greater creativity because you have a greater technological skills and you have greater control.
Right.
You can't do anything except point and shoot with the other camera, and that's all you really want to do if you belong to this market. And
Yeah.
if you're in the other market, then you need greater control.
That's going to be a big question. How much of the technology is going to become able to be for the user point and search? Part of a marketing
Well,
decision, too.
I can tell you this,
Yeah.
knowing technology,
Mm-hmm.
what you see, even if you have a very sophisticated web design program, what you see as the user, and the many, many things you can do, is nothing compared to what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
it's ludicrously involved in there.
Yeah.
But as a designer, you're going to afford yourself whatever learning curve there is for whatever particular application to achieve your
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah. And the thing with the computer, the web design, and having all that technology behind it, it's sort of like the subconscious mind or something like that. I mean, you don't have to know your hair is growing. In some cases, it does grow, not necessarily in mine, but it does. The hair, it just grows. There's a lot of things that go on just automatically within the system, and that's sort of there. But you started out saying that you really thought you wanted to do fashion photography because you could get control all in your hands. The question of being able to have the control over the process is important to you. Do you see yourself as like an auteur, or would you be an auteur?
Let's go back. I don't think you're not
Maybe
really in control. When you're a fashion photographer, it depends. If you really want to get really thin, it depends on the content, what you're doing, and so on and so on. But usually what you're really doing is you're assembling the elements to create this great composition. When you're a conductor of an orchestra, you're not playing any instruments, you just assemble an orchestra and you're trying to get them to elicit this performance.
That's right, yeah.
So it's not that he might be in control of the orchestra, but it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
So the same thing happens in photography. You have models on a set, and if you relate to them well, they're going to give you a great picture.
Yeah.
If you assemble the elements well on a web page, it's going to be an award-winning web page as opposed to a page that people pass up.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because the dynamic of the web has changed so much that it is beyond overcrowded. I mean, it's senseless. It's mindless almost.
Really? Well, that's something we can talk about. So.
Sure.
Do you like the movie Blow Up?
You're talking about the old,
the old one back in the 60s?
I vaguely remember that. Was
you don't
John
remember?
Paul?
Yeah, well, in the trees. I remember the scene with the tree. It was just such an artful thing. I mean, it really is an art form, the photography and the film and so forth.
Powerful.
And whether or not it's changing now in terms of whether you track these things, we're going now from where, I just had a fellow who had his own ad agency at 16, 35 millimeter, and the digital is now coming in. So the digital cameras are starting to come into the movie making business and so forth. So that's a big change that's affecting things as well. And then a lot of that, he said all of his acquisition was 16, 35 millimeter, but it was all put through an Avid system, so it went into a digital
So is he
thing.
converting from film to a
Yeah, he's slowly,
digitized?
but he says, and some of those guys that work with 35 millimeter film, I've seen some people for cinematographers, and they say there's a warmth to that film that you can never get in any video process or any electronic process. There's some of these guild things.
I'd like to think that everybody knows that.
Yeah. Oh,
You
you think
can't-
that that's a true fact?
Well,
Right?
of course it is.
It
Film
is,
is always,
okay.
film
See,
is
I
always,
don't know.
yeah, and it lends itself. It's not only that it lends itself aesthetically to a more pleasing imagery than video. The video has improved a great deal. Now
Yeah,
it's just-
absolutely. I look, if I may, Buzz, I look at a high definition television and a 35 millimeter, and me being an amateur, I can't tell the difference. I mean, they look the same to me. I mean, they look as one as well as the other. And I get the idea that some of these people hanging on to the film is just like a guy hanging on to the old Model Ford or something, and that everything is going to be going digital.
Right.
But you say there is a certain quality to the film that makes it different than
it's
whatever
so good
you're going to
that
get
when
electronically.
When film improved over the decades,
Yeah.
the bass, the emulsion, everything improved.
Right.
Early on, we didn't have like a wide spectrum emulsion. It was pretty much black and white. We called these. Remember the nitrate films?
Yeah,
The
vaguely.
quality of the nitrate films.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though they were dangerous and blew up when they were in storage.
Yeah, right.
They gave you the creamiest whites and the richest blacks.
Did they? Yeah.
With very few grays, but it was just so rich in these films that were done in the 20s and the 30s actually, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had a super quality. We're not just talking because there's nothing else to compare them to. I mean, it was just film, nitrate film. So now when we started with film in the 70s and 80s, a different type of film,
Yeah.
we could look back on these nitrate films and see what lush, vibrant black and whites they had. They
Yeah.
didn't have a wide spectrum in between, but they were noted for that rendition of black and white.
Yeah.
So now we have progressed into bigger and wider images and digitized images.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten away from film in some aspects, but when it's time to make a movie,
Yeah.
they use 35 or 70 millimeter film. They're not.
Well, they
There's
do.
no substitution.
You don't think they will be substituting those things for high definition digital cameras and so forth in the movie making business? I think people are starting to do that. They get, they're doing
like to
it for
think-
certainly
I'd
video
like to
assist,
think.
certainly video assist and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's part of the march of progress and so on. And you've covered a lot in a certain sense. Still photography, film. Did you do film much?
Oh,
You said
yeah.
you started out in film, but did you do much, or did you
I just
become
studied film at the
disillusioned
school
because it was?
for about 3 semesters. We did a year of 8 millimeter production. I don't know if there's such thing as Super 8 and 8 anymore.
They used to have Super 8. I
Super 8.
remember that,
I used to do my films in black and white.
Super
There was-
8 film, that is, folks, not Super 8 video. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There was even a lab midtown where I could take my Super 8 black and white film,
Yeah.
my rushes, and have them done
Your
in
rushes,
5 or 6 hours.
Right. The dailies, huh?
Yeah. Screen them so we know we have to reshoot the next day.
Yeah.
This was in Super 8, black and white Super 8.
And all this stuff was being done before there was even a computer in the glint of any laboratory technician's eye, So that was happening. And it's all happening now, the changes that are coming in terms of the acquisition and so forth and manipulation of image and that sort of thing is happening so quickly now. I mean, the pace in which new things are being introduced is almost unconscionable. It's so fast. Things are coming so quickly now. And it's hard to keep up for the artistic. Excuse me, one generic point is the creative aspect, the artist behind all of this translates into all these various mediums. Lessons learned in one can be translated into another. And in your view, because you started out talking about the creativity thing translates or can be moved into various kinds of forms of expression. So that's an important question.
Well, it's pretty simple in my terms how
Yeah.
to see it. If you have this creativity thing at the core,
Yeah.
then you might best express yourself this way or this way, but you can find that by expressing, if you're a 14-year-old athlete
Yeah.
and you go to play tennis for years, you'll be a tennis player. If you go
Yeah.
to play basketball, you'll be basketball.
Yeah.
Your output of your core could be any sport. It
Yeah.
could be equestrian, the swim team. It depends on where you go.
Yeah.
But if you start at the core and just go that way, then you'll You know what I'm saying? You'll
Yeah, I
have
think
the
so, yeah.
output to achieve.
Yeah. Right.
So if you play tennis for 3 years and then it's not to your liking, you can go ski for 3 years.
Yeah.
Whatever, if you have the wherewithal.
Yeah, and having learned to play tennis, you're probably going to ski better than you would.
Well,
if
I
you
don't know if
hadn't.
that's true
I'm
in
not
sports.
Sure.
I
I'm
know
not
some
sure.
people that could certainly disprove that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so you're moving along. You're marching along with the march of history and everything.
That's
and
right,
you're
trying to keep pace, yeah.
And you've also been having to keep yourself acquainted with all of the technological developments. You've helped some companies get their acts together in terms of technological assistance, that sort of thing. I don't know if that's part of what you wanted to touch into.
You have to earn a check, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. You have to earn a living, right? Yeah. And in order to do that, it's becoming. Did you self-teach yourself all the things that were coming along? A lot of the people I know who know computers and that sort of thing just sort of say, no, I never read. There isn't a book, Computer 101 or something, you to go to a class. Everybody sort of just picks it up. And do you think some people have an intuitive sense of being able to handle these new technologies as they come along better than others, just out of their genetic given background or something?
Like anything else, of course.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Of course.
You had that.
Some people can be